So I just saw Mad Max Fury Road, and it was a lot of fun. If I were rating this movie based on how much fun I had, I'd be giving it a 9 out of 10. But alas, I rate movies based on what I feel the quality of the film is. So no, I'm not docking points because I had fun watching it, I just genuinely feel as though the movie's a fun 7 out of 10. There were a lot of aspects in the film that were genuinely impressive. The cinematography was pretty great. The computer-generated imagery was used sparingly. There were some parts that didn't feel visually quite real, but for the most part, it wasn't enough to take anybody out of the movie. And most of all, it was just fucking fun. It was like if Death Race 3 wasn't a massive piece of shit. I'm not gonna complain that there wasn't really much to the story, because anybody can tell that the movie wasn't really trying to be heavily story-driven. In all honesty, if a movie is going for the cool and fun factor, I'd rather have it be like this one where it doesn't spend an eternity dicking around in between the cool and fun scenes. In Mad Max Fury Road, the story was just enough so that the cool and fun scenes didn't feel stupid and pointless. I like how over the top and ridiculous it was, and I wouldn't want the movie to be any other way. In fact, I hope the next movie goes even further. Believe it or not, I was reminded of Army of Darkness during the fight scene with the chain and the struggle for the gun. There were a few things that irked me about the presentation of the movie, but they were fairly minimal. There were a few of those family flashback hallucination shots that were a little cheesy. And yeah, I know we're talking about the same movie where there's a dude on top of the car playing electric guitar riding to his fucking death, but I think it's important to differentiate between cheese during something fun and cool, and cheese during something that's supposed to be dramatic and serious. As someone that does a lot of editing, there were a few things that were distracting and took me out of the film for a bit. When slow footage is sped up to make it look fast, some people just see slow footage sped up to make it look fast. Trust me, it happens more times in this movie than you think. During some of the dialogue, characters were basically whispering to each other, but they're inside a giant moving vehicle, and there's no shortage of ear-blasting engine sounds during scenes where we see the exterior of the vehicles, but during the serious talk time in the vehicles, the volume of the engine is turned down so low in post that literally that's all I can think about anymore.
I was born there.
So why'd you leave?
I didn't. I was taken as a child. Stolen.
It doesn't destroy the movie, all I'm saying is that when something's in the environment that's so unironically unnatural, it is a little distracting. And keeping consistent with what I said earlier, remember that these serious talk scenes are supposed to be serious, meaning that distractions like those wouldn't be as much of an issue if they were during the cool and fun scenes. I have the exact same issue in any movie where the characters are in a supposedly loud club but they don't have to talk over the music. The worst example I could think of would be from an indie movie called A Midsummer Night's Rave.
I know how thirsty aspiring DJs can get.
Thank you, True.
Enjoy.
Thanks.
The best example I could think of would be from David Fincher's The Social Network.
You ever think about that girl?
What girl?
The girl from high school who was with the lacrosse thing.
No.
When a director has that much forethought to get the actors to shout in a silent room before the audio is added in post-production, it impresses me enough to be giving the movie extra points. And remember that a perfect 10 rating is not a default that only goes lower if you find issues with the movie. A default rating for me is 5 out of 10, and any achievements that the film has to offer bring it higher. And I've gotta say, I was impressed by what the film had to offer. Having seen the first 2 Mad Max films a long time ago, this one was a lot more entertaining. If there's one thing I remember about those older ones, it's that they had a much slower pace. That and the villains were comically homosexual. Should society get enraged over the sexual orientation or gender of the villains or heroes? No. I honestly wish I could have watched Mad Max Fury Road without all of those clickbait websites making a big fuss over the characters' genders. Because to me, this movie had nothing to do with gender issues at all. You could have swapped the genders of literally every character except the pregnant one, and I wouldn't have felt any different about the movie. Having a specific gender or sexual orientation being portrayed in a positive or negative light in a film might affect me more if it was, I don't know, not set in a post-apocalyptic fantasy world where everyone, including the main character, has lost their fucking minds. A group of men or a group of women or a group of gay people should not be taken as an accurate reflection of society. They're just these things called characters, and while it is possible that George Miller wrote this screenplay with the explicit intent of painting certain genders in certain lights, at no point did it feel forced and out of place. Why don't we just view people as human beings again? Oh right, it's because anger sells, and the one way to get everybody arguing at each other over something is to turn it into a gender issue. I forgot. And yes, the clickbait websites are just as guilty as the idiot they were quoting, who, by the way, never actually saw the movie before writing it. You realize you can find idiots saying stupid shit about anything on the internet, and that by putting them on a pedestal hostile, you're essentially generating the controversy yourselves. Doesn't matter. Money. Gender debates are the new big thing right now, so we'll jump on literally any opportunity to get you fired up about them so you'll share the link and give us money. When I have criticisms to make about a film, I try to keep my criticisms in line with filmmaking and presentation. Have we forgotten how to do that? Anyway, forgive me for making that last part of my review more so a review on other people's reviews. Overall, I really liked Mad Max. I think that 7 out of 10 is a reasonable rating to give it. Who knows, I might even bump it up to an 8 the next time I see it. If you watch the trailer and think that looks like a lot of fun, then you'll probably have a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was like an amusement park ride. It was like riding the fun coaster in Funland. It was a hot fun Sunday. Fun, 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 fun. It was fun. Mad Max, fun road. Fun out of 10. Fun, 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 fun. I can hold out my middle finger. This guy is the real definition. Oh, is that a dog? How can I honk and flip off people? Yes! Okay, let's go. I'm sorry, Mark. I know you're watching.